who has studied Kannada and worked as a Kannada lecturer for more than 35 years of my life, and I retired as principal, teaching the very language we love. Well, I was being Fazlul Hasan's daughter, I was asked to introduce the book. How do you introduce a book which is 53 years old and again reprinted after 53 years because there was some need for it? How do you introduce the author? My father, who is still remembered by his people 32 years after his death. Well, I don't think I'll be remembered 32 days after my death. So being remembered for after 32 years of his death, that shows he had something which perhaps we are all lacking. Anyway, I am glad I got the opportunity to say so. Well, I will not go very deeply into how my father developed the interest in this book. I will not go very deeply into how he wrote the book because these things are often repeated and told time and again. I think everybody knows about the inscription stone which gave him the inspiration to write. No.
Tell us.
Okay. There was my father used to stay, actually he was a very young boy when he stayed in one place in Sunkenhalli. Right now it is called Tota. It was called. Now it is Sunkenhalli. He had his relatives had a mango grove there, and he saw a stone there. A stone which normally people just see and forget. This boy, he was moving around at the stone, and then he saw something written on it. He developed a curiosity, thinking, what the hell is it? And then he studied. When he saw, his curiosity got triggered, and he studied. And then this study going deeper and deeper and deeper. And as he studied, he wrote articles. And these articles were published in Kannada newspapers, in English newspapers, in magazines. Sudha and Deccan Herald and Prajavani have many of his articles regarding history, not only on one stone, regarding the history of Bangalore. And all these were slowly, he had something in mind. These were just stepping stones. And ultimately, the book Bangalore Through the Centuries came into being. When this book was launched a few days ago, people there asked me, how could your father collect so much data? At a time when C was for cat and not computer, how could he manage to classify all the data which he had collected? How could he store all that? How did he do it? It was surprising. For a generation who at the click of a button can do wonders, just imagine how he would have written. At that time, even a ball pen was not there. I remember I used the ball pen when I was in school. So earlier to that, my father used to write with the ink pen. He had his own way. He used to write everything. He never had a typewriter. He used to write everything. And he had a particular way of folding the page. A page had to be folded in this way. He used to teach me how to do that. A page had to be folded in a particular way. There was a margin to the right, to the left, and in the center he used to write. Sometimes he used to write in pencil, sometimes in blue ink, and sometimes he used red ink to underline what he felt was important. He had his own way of doing things. He used to number all the pages and go beside any person who just happened to misplace a page. Wherever it was kept just like that. Not only those pages, the newspapers in my house, we used to have a stack of newspapers, wherein they were all very neatly labeled, date-wise, because he used to refer to them a lot. And nobody had the courage to misuse the newspaper. Even today, my hand sort of, I held back my hand because I'm not used to using newspaper indiscriminately. When I see people just throwing it as raddi, my soul burns actually. And we used to have stacks of them. So this was how he had the respect for the written word, and this was how he used to do things. And then he used to collect all this. He used to take us. We as a family, we have seen countless temples. We have seen numerous churches. We have seen mosques. We have visited dargahs. We have just looked around every places. We have looked for history on the walls of these temples. We have looked for inscriptions and figures on so many walls. Many we have found, many we haven't. But anyway, it was there. I don't think any of you can say, but I can proudly say I have seen Sitammana Hande. I have seen Pandavarakonda. I have seen so many places. Obavanakindi, for a layman, looks just a small, what do you say, just a small thing. But for me, it was explained as how Obava used her pistol to kill the soldiers of Hyderabad when they came in. Every small stone and every, what do you say, fort or any place, it used to be important to us because he used to explain. We saw history. We never saw stones and mortars in any place. So this was how the love developed. And then gradually, when he started writing the book, he used to visit this Metric Society, Kannada Sahitya Parishad, and then central libraries. All these were places of interest to him. And he used to collect data, and he used to write the book. The corporation BCC, that is Bangalore City Corporation then, BBMP now, had given him 10,000 rupees to publish the book, and it was published by Historical Publications, a one-man army, wherein my father was the sole person who did the publishing, did the writing, did the reading, did what all. I just helped him in a small way. I used to sit with him and correct any mistakes there. And that I didn't know, but which I came to know was gradually proofreading. Yeah, at that time I didn't know, because I was a small kid. I used to study in, say, some 4th or 5th standard. And what my father did, he just did. I used to be with him. And when he read, even I read the pages along with him, and together we would find some spelling mistakes, which we used to correct. Some misprinted sentences, those were also corrected. Something which used to go wrong, we used to correct. I had no idea that it was proofreading, but that was how it was done. But my father's passion saw him through all this. Unfortunately, we couldn't, the book got sold out earlier because it was given as a presentation to people who used to attend civic receptions. Whenever any dignitary from the used to come to the corporation functions, he was given a copy of the book, because till then there was no comprehensive history of Bangalore. People used to come here, people used to stay here, and the study of Bangalore was just confined to research papers and a few articles. When you read through the book, I think I'm sure you would have all known. When you read through the book, you will get an idea of how comprehensive it is and how with so much love he had collected the data. I will tell you one more thing. How he wrote, I told. We used to hear about this folklore. He used to refer to this folklore also. In folklore, he used to, we have heard folk artists perform. Folk artists will be used to tell. We have heard how the foundation of Bangalore was laid. It's very interesting. I believe there were bullocks who just took the distance. This I don't know, I don't remember it is mentioned. And then this folklore mentions about a lady, Kempegowda's daughter-in-law, I think, who sacrificed her life for the sake of a fort, for the southern fort, and she is remembered to this day. These are all make interesting reading and hearing. Many a times folklore might not be supported by historical facts, but they make very interesting reading, and these are the things which make small stones and monuments into historical figures. I would love to hear and read history like this than reading history in a chronological. When I was in college, I was teaching actually, but my subject was not history. You know what my students used to write? When asked about Akbar, they used to write, he was a great king, he fought many wars, he had many administrative reforms, and you ask him about Tipu Sultan, they write the same thing. And you ask them about rivers, you used to write Sharavati, Bhadravati, anything Vati is a river. So at that time we used to think, how come these children, when we had learned it in a different way. But now students are learning in a totally different way. So we just felt, and I'm so glad my father taught us history in a different way. The way he saw it and the way we have learned is totally different from what people study right now. Well, I'm glad. I'll not take much of your time. You have been waiting for something else. And it was just my duty to introduce the book to you. Well, I just didn't know how to introduce a book which is already seen 50 years, more than 50 years, half a century. So, anyway, thank you so much. I was given an opportunity and I'm extremely proud and glad my father has left me this legacy. I doubt if our children can say the same. Thanks again.